The morning light filtered through the tall windows of Westminster Abbey, casting golden patterns across the cold stone floor. In less than 12 hours, Kate Middleton would walk down this same aisle and become a princess. But hidden in the shadows of the ancient cathedral, someone was about to make sure that moment never happened the way the world expected. Detective Sergeant Michael Hayes stood near the altar, his eyes scanning every corner of the vast space. He wasn't supposed to be there. His shift didn't start until the ceremony itself, but something had been nagging at him for days, a feeling in his gut that refused to go away. 20 years on the force had taught him to trust that feeling. The abbey was filled with workers. Florists adjusted white roses along the pews. Technicians tested camera angles. Security teams walked their routes for the 100th time. Everything looked perfect. Too perfect, maybe. Michael's phone buzzed. A text from his daughter. "Dad, are you going to see the princess today?" He smiled and typed back quickly before returning. His focus to the room, that's when he noticed her. A woman in a cleaning uniform was standing near the private chamber where Kate's coronation crown was being kept. She was alone. Her hand rested on the door handle, but she wasn't cleaning anything. She was just standing there, perfectly still, looking around as if checking to see if anyone was watching. Michael's pulse quickened. He moved closer, staying behind a marble pillar. The woman pulled something from her pocket. It glinted in the light. A key. She slipped it into the lock. Before you go further into this story, if you love real tales of danger, secrets, and courage, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what happens next. Michael stepped forward. "Excuse me, ma'am."
Ow!
The woman flinched and spun around, her face pale. For a split second, their eyes met. Hers were wide with panic. Then she smiled too quickly, too brightly. "You startled me," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "I'm just doing my rounds." Michael kept his expression calm, but his hand moved instinctively toward his radio. "I don't think cleaning staff have keys to that room," her smile faltered. She glanced at the door, then back at him. I was told to check inside. Make sure everything is in order." "By who?" She hesitated. "Just for a moment." "But it was enough. I'll need to see your identification," Michael said, stepping closer. The woman's hand tightened around the key. Her breathing changed. Faster, shallow. Michael recognized the signs. She was deciding whether to run or fight. "Ma'am, I need you to stay calm and show me your ID." Instead, she turned and bolted. Michael's instincts took over. He grabbed his radio as he ran after her. Security breach. West corridor. Suspect fleeing toward the south exit. She was fast. Too fast for someone who was just a cleaner. She knew the layout of the building. She darted through a side passage that most visitors didn't even know existed. Michael's heart pounded as he chased her through the narrow hallway. His mind raced even faster. If she had a key to the crown chamber, someone had given it to her. Someone with access. Someone on the inside. And if she got away, whatever plan was in motion would continue. The woman burst through a service door and into the courtyard. Michael was only seconds behind her. But when he reached the door and shoved it open, she was gone. He stood there, breathing hard, scanning the empty courtyard. Stone walls. A few parked vehicles. No sign of her, but on the ground near the edge of a flower bed something caught his eye. A small laminated badge. He bent down and picked it up. It wasn't a cleaning staff ID. It was a security clearance card. High level. The kind that gave access to almost anywhere in the Abbey, and the photo on the card wasn't the woman he'd just chased. It was someone else entirely. Michael stared at the security card in his hand. The photo showed a man in his 50s with graying hair and cold eyes. The name read, Thomas Barnett, Senior Security Coordinator. His clearance level was among the highest in the building. His radio crackled. "Hayes, did you catch her?" Michael pressed the button. "Negative. But I've got something. Send someone to the West Courtyard. And I need Thomas Barnett's location now." "Barnett. He's off duty today." "Why?" "Just find him." Michael ran back inside, his mind racing. If Barnett was involved, this was bigger than a simple theft. The coronation crown wasn't just valuable. It was a symbol. Destroying it or stealing it would humiliate the royal family in front of the entire world. The ceremony was being broadcast to over 2 billion people. He reached the crown chamber and found 2 guards stationed outside. Neither had seen anyone suspicious. But when Michael showed them the key the woman had been holding, their faces went pale. It was a master key. Only 5 people in the entire abbey had one. "Get inside," Michael ordered. "Check the crown. Now." One of the guards unlocked the door. They stepped into the small, dimly lit room. In the center, on a velvet cushion inside a glass case, sat the crown. Diamonds and sapphires glittered under the soft light. It looked untouched. Perfect. But Michael wasn't convinced. "Open the case." The guard hesitated. "Sir, protocol says, open it." The guard used another key and carefully lifted the glass. Michael leaned in close, studying every detail of the crown. The metal, the jewels, the delicate engravings. Then he saw it. At the base of the crown, where it would rest on Kate's head, there was a tiny smudge. A fingerprint, maybe? Or something else. Michael pulled a pen from his pocket and gently tilted the crown. A faint oily residue glistened on the inner band. "Don't touch it," he said sharply. "Get forensics here now, and no one else comes near this crown until they clear it." The guard's voice shook. "What is it?" Michael didn't answer. He didn't want to say it out loud. It's not yet. But the thought was already forming in his mind. Poison. A contact poison. Something that would absorb through the skin the moment Kate placed the crown on her head. In front of billions of people. On live television, his stomach turned. The radio crackled again. "Hayes, we found Barnett. He's at his flat. Unresponsive. Ambulance is on the way." Michael's blood ran cold. "What do you mean unresponsive?" "Looks like an overdose. Pills everywhere." "There's a note." Michael closed his eyes. "What does it say?" A pause. Then, quietly, it says, "I'm sorry. They have my daughter." The pieces started falling into place. Barnett hadn't been working alone. He'd been forced, blackmailed. Someone had taken his daughter and used him to get access to the crown. And now that his part was done, they'd silenced him. But the woman Michael had chased was still out there. And whoever was pulling the strings was still in control. Michael grabbed his radio. "I need the coronation delayed." "Hayes, are you insane? The ceremony starts in 8 hours. The Queen, the Prime Minister, dignitaries from 40 countries. I don't care. If Kate wears that crown, she could die." Silence. Then a different voice came through, calm, authoritative. "This is Commander Pierce. Hayes, meet me in the operations room, now." Michael left the chamber and hurried down the corridor. His hands were shaking. Not from fear, from anger. Someone had tried to turn a moment of celebration into a tragedy, and they'd almost succeeded. When he reached the operations room, Commander Pierce was waiting. She was a tall woman with sharp eyes and a reputation for getting things done. She closed the door behind him. "Tell me everything," she said. Michael did. The woman. The key. The residue on the crown. Barnett's apparent suicide. Pierce listened without interrupting. When he finished, she picked up a phone. "This is Pierce. I need a full lockdown of Westminster Abbey, no one in or out, and get me the head of forensics." She hung up and looked at Michael. "If you're right, we're dealing with a professional operation. Barnett's daughter is still missing. That means they still have leverage. And if they're willing to kill Barnett, they're willing to kill anyone who gets in their way. So what do? We find the woman you chased. And we find out who's giving the orders." Michael nodded. But even as he agreed, a new thought crept into his mind. The woman had known the Abbey's layout. She'd moved like someone with training. And she'd disappeared in seconds. Whoever she wasn't finished. And the ceremony was still hours away. The forensics team arrived within 20 minutes. They worked quickly, carefully swabbing the inside of the crown, while Michael watched from the doorway. Every second felt like an eternity. Outside, the sun was climbing higher. In 6 hours, guests would start arriving. In 7, the ceremony would begin. The lead forensic officer, a woman named Dr. Patel, finally looked up. Her face was grim. It's a nerve agent. Modified. Fast-acting. Absorbed through skin contact. Michael felt the air leave his lungs. How fast? Minutes. Maybe less. She would have collapsed during the ceremony. In front of everyone, Commander Pierce stepped forward. Can we clean it? Dr. Patel nodded. Yes, but we need to sweep everything. The cushion, the case, the entire chamber. If they contaminated the crown, they might have contaminated other surfaces. Asterisk, do it, Pierce ordered. Then she turned to Michael. We need to find that woman now. Pull every camera feed from the last 24 hours. Michael and 2 other officers moved to the security office. Dozens of monitors filled the wall, showing every angle of the Abbey. They started with the footage from that morning. Fast-forwarding. Watching. Then Michael saw her. The woman in the cleaning uniform? She entered through a side entrance at dawn. But she wasn't alone. A man in a maintenance uniform walked beside her. They moved with purpose. No hesitation. They knew exactly where they were going. Freeze that, Michael said, pointing at the screen. Can you enhance his face? The tech officer zoomed in. The image pixelated, then sharpened. Michael's breath caught. He recognized the man. Not from the Abbey, from years ago. A case he'd worked. A suspected arms dealer who'd vanished before trial. That's Viktor Kuznetsov, Michael said quietly. He's Russian mafia. Believed to be dead. Pierce leaned closer. Apparently not. If he's involved, this isn't just about the crown, Michael continued. It's political. A message. An attack on the monarchy itself. Pierce grabbed her phone. I'm calling MI5. This is beyond us now. But before she could dial, the lights in the room flickered, then went out. Emergency backup power kicked in, bathing everything in red light. What the hell? Someone muttered. Michael's instincts screamed. That's not an accident. They're still here. Pierce grabbed her radio. All units, we have a power disruption. Possible hostile presence. Secure all entry points, and a loud bang echoed through the building. Then another gunshots. Michael drew his weapon and ran toward the sound. His heart hammered in his chest. The corridors were chaos. Security personnel shouting. People running. The smell of gunpowder in the air. He rounded a corner and saw her. The woman from earlier. But she wasn't running this time. She was standing in the middle of the hallway, gun raised, pointed directly at a young security guard who couldn't have been more than Drop it, Michael shouted, his own weapon trained on her. She didn't move. Didn't even blink. You should have stayed out of this, she said, her accent now clear. Eastern European. Precise. Now, it's over, Michael said. The crown is clean. Your plan failed. A cold smile crossed her face. The crown was never the only target. Michael's stomach dropped. What are you talking about? You'd think we'd put all our faith in one object? In one moment, she laughed, a hollow sound. There are 3 devices hidden in this building. Remote detonation. They go off in 4 hours. Right when the ceremony begins, right when the Abbey is filled with world leaders, Michael's mind raced. 3 bombs, hidden somewhere in a building with hundreds of rooms, tunnels, and hidden passages. Finding them in 4 hours would be nearly impossible. Where are they? He demanded. You'll never find them in time. Then why tell me? Her smile faded. Because I want you to understand. This isn't personal. It's business. And it's already done. She moved. Fast. Her gun shifted toward the young guard. Michael didn't think. He just fired. The shot echoed through the corridor. The woman stumbled, her weapon clattering to the floor. She collapsed against the wall, blood spreading across her shoulder. But she was still conscious. Still smiling. You're too late, she whispered. Michael kicked her gun away and dropped to his knees beside her. Where are the bombs? She coughed, blood on her lips. Find Victor. Maybe he'll tell you. If you can catch him, where is he? Her eyes started to close. Closer than you think. Michael grabbed his radio. We need bomb disposal units. Now. Possible multiple devices throughout the building. And find Viktor Kuznetsov. Suspect is on site. Pierce's voice came back immediately. Evacuating non-essential personnel. We have 3 hours and 52 minutes until the ceremony. How do we find the bombs? Michael looked at the woman. She was unconscious now. Maybe dying. He stood and turned to the young guard, who was pale and shaking but unharmed. You okay? Michael asked. The guard nodded, unable to speak. Good. Stay with her. Don't let anyone near her until medical arrives. Michael ran back toward the operations room. His mind was spinning. 3 bombs? Victor somewhere inside. In a ceremony that couldn't be stopped without causing an international incident. But as he ran, something the woman had said stuck with him. Closer than you think. Victor wasn't hiding in the shadows. He was in plain sight, disguised, moving freely, which meant he could detonate those bombs the moment he realized his partner had been caught. Time was running out, and somewhere in the ancient halls of Westminster Abbey, a killer was waiting. The operations room had transformed into a war zone. Maps of the Abbey covered every surface. Red circles marked high-value areas. Bomb disposal teams were suiting up. Mi-5 agents had arrived, grim-faced and efficient. Commander Pierce stood at the center of it all, coordinating. We're sweeping level by level. Dogs are already searching the main hall. But we need to narrow this down. 3 bombs in a building this size? They'd want maximum impact. Michael studied the map. His eyes traced the layout. The main hall where the ceremony would take place, the private chambers. The ancient crypts below. Then something clicked. The structural columns, he said, pointing. If you wanted to bring down the building, you'd target the supports. There are 3 main load-bearing sections. Here, here, and here. An Mi-5 agent named Carter nodded. Smart collapse those, and the whole central section comes down. But accessing them requires knowledge of the building's infrastructure. Barnett would have had that, Michael said. He gave them everything. Access codes, layouts, weak points. Pierce grabbed a radio. Redirect bomb teams to the structural columns. Priority sweep. A message from the hospital where Barnett had been taken. He read it, and his blood ran cold. Barnett's dead, he said quietly. But before he died, he said something to the paramedic. The flowers remember. Does that mean anything to anyone? Silence. Then one of the younger officers spoke up. The floral arrangements. They were delivered this morning. Hundreds of them. Michael's eyes widened. Who delivered them? The officer pulled up a tablet, fingers flying across the screen. A company called Heritage Blooms. But there's no record of that company existing before 3 weeks ago. Victor Michael breathed. He's been planning this for weeks. The flowers are the perfect cover. No one questions flowers at a royal ceremony. Carter grabbed his phone. I'm calling the floral team. We need every arrangement isolated. Now. But Michael was already running. He remembered seeing the florist that morning. White roses lined along the pews. Arrangements near the altar. In one particularly large display right beside where Kate would stand during the ceremony, he burst into the main hall. The space was massive, echoing with his footsteps. Rows of wooden pews stretched toward a magnificent altar. Sunlight poured through stained glass windows, painting everything in colors. It should have been beautiful. Instead, it felt like a tomb. The flowers were everywhere. Exactly as he'd remembered. A bomb disposal expert named Sarah was already there, carefully examining an arrangement near the front. She looked up as Michael approached. Found something? He asked. Maybe this one's heavier than it should be. And there's a strange electronic signature coming from inside the base. Can you disarm it? Give me 10 minutes. Michael nodded and moved to the next arrangement. Then the next. His hands were steady, but his heart raced. 3 bombs? How many flower arrangements were there? 30? 40? They didn't have time to check them all. He pulled out his phone and looked at the old case file on Victor. Photos from years ago. Known associates. Patterns. Victor was ex-military. Russian Special Forces. He didn't leave things to chance. He planned. He created redundancies. If there were 3 bombs, they wouldn't all be in the obvious places. One would be hidden somewhere unexpected. Somewhere no one would think to look until it was too late. Michael's eyes drifted to the gallery above. The choir loft where musicians would play during the ceremony. The acoustics were famous. Sound carried perfectly from that spot, which meant an explosion there would be heard everywhere, would create maximum panic. He ran to the stairs. His legs burned as he took them 2 at a time. The gallery was empty, silent. Wooden benches for the choir. Music stands. And in the corner, partially hidden behind a curtain, another floral arrangement. This one was different, smaller, less decorative. Almost forgotten, Michael approached carefully. His training told him not to touch anything, to wait for Sarah and her team. But something in his gut said there wasn't time. He knelt down and examined the base. There, barely visible, was a small LED light, blinking red. A timer, 1 hour and 37 minutes. His radio crackled. Hayes, we found one. Sarah's working on it now. There's another one up here, Michael replied. Gallery level. I need Sarah when she's done. Copy that. Michael stood and backed away slowly. 1 down. 1 being worked on. 1 more to find. But where? Victor had to be controlling them remotely, which meant he was somewhere with a clear view, somewhere he could watch the chaos unfold, or somewhere he could escape quickly if things went wrong. Michael's mind flashed back to the security footage. Victor entering through a side door. A maintenance uniform. Maintenance workers had access to the roof, to the utility areas. 2 places guests would never go. He grabbed his radio. Pierce, I need teams checking all maintenance access points. Roof, utility tunnels, HVAC systems. Victor's hiding somewhere with a view and an exit. On it. Michael headed back down the stairs. As he reached the main hall, Sarah looked up from the arrangement she'd been working on. Her face was pale. It's sophisticated, she said. Military grade. Remote detonation, but also a fail-safe timer. If someone tries to disarm it incorrectly, it blows immediately. Can you do it? I think so, but I need absolute silence. No vibrations. No radio signals nearby? Michael nodded and moved everyone back. He watched as Sarah worked, her hands steady, her focus total. Minutes ticked by. The LED on the device blinked. Red, red, red. Then Sarah cut a wire. The blinking stopped. The light went dark. She sat back and exhaled. Done, 1 down. 2 to go, Michael said. But even as relief washed over him, his radio crackled with a new voice. Unfamiliar. Cold. Detective Hayes, I believe you've been looking for me. Michael's hand tightened on the radio. Victor. Very good. You're smarter than Barnett, said DC. I'm impressed. But not impressed enough to let this end quietly. Where are you? A laugh. Close enough to see you. Far enough that you'll never reach me in time? You have 1 hour and 32 minutes. 2 bombs left, and I'm done playing games. If you don't evacuate this building in the next 10 minutes, I detonate them all. Everyone dies. The ceremony, the guests, the princess, everyone. The line went dead. Michael stood frozen. Evacuate and let Victor escape, or stay and risk hundreds of lives. Commander Pierce was beside him instantly. What do we do? Michael looked at the beautiful hall, at the flowers, at the place where Kate was supposed to become a princess, and he made a choice. We don't evacuate, Michael said. His voice was calm. That's what he wants. Panic. Chaos. A failed ceremony broadcast to the world. We don't give him that. Pierce stared at him. If you're wrong, I'm not. Victor's bluffing. He won't detonate early. This is about the ceremony. About the moment. If he wanted everyone dead, he'd have blown the bombs already. Carter, the MI5 agent, stepped forward. He's right. This is theater. Political theater. The attack has to happen during the ceremony for maximum impact. Victor needs that audience. So we have until the ceremony starts, Pierce said. 1 hour and 28 minutes. Michael nodded. He said he can see us. That narrows it down. He needs line of sight to the main hall. The gallery, the bell tower, the upper windows. Sarah, how long for the second bomb? 15 minutes if I'm lucky. Do it. Everyone else, we're hunting Victor. He's watching us right now, which means he's stationary. Focused. That makes him vulnerable. Michael pulled up a map on a tablet. He marked every vantage point with a clear view of the main hall. 7 locations. Too many to search individually in the time they had. We need to make him move, Michael said. Force his hand. How? Pierce asked. Michael thought for a moment. Then, an idea formed. Dangerous. Maybe stupid. But it might work. We fake the evacuation. Announce over the radio that we're clearing the building. Make it loud, public. He'll think he won. He'll either try to escape or move to a better position to watch. Either way, he breaks cover. Pierce considered this. If he calls the bluff and detonates, he won't. And not yet. He's invested too much. He wants to see it through. Pierce picked up her radio. All units, prepare for full evacuation. Repeat, full evacuation. Clear all personnel from Westminster Abbey. This is not a drill. The message echoed through the building. Within seconds, people began moving. Security, staff, technicians. The halls filled with controlled chaos. Michael watched the security feeds. Dozens of people streaming toward exits. And then, on one of the upper-level cameras, he saw it. A figure in a maintenance uniform, moving against the flow. Heading deeper into the building, instead of toward an exit? There, Michael said, pointing. East wing. Upper maintenance corridor. That leads to the bell tower, Carter said. Perfect vantage point. And only one way down? Michael added. We've got him. Pierce dispatched teams to cover all exits from the tower. Michael grabbed his weapon and headed up. His legs burned as he climbed the narrow spiral staircase. Stone walls pressed in on both sides. The air was cold and smelled of dust and age. He reached the top. The bell chamber was vast, open to the air on all sides. Massive bronze bells hung silent overhead. And standing at the far edge, looking out over the Abbey grounds, was Victor. He didn't turn around. I knew you'd figure it out, he said, his English perfect but accented. You're persistent. I respect that. Michael kept his weapon raised. It's over, Victor. Your partner's in custody. 2 bombs are disarmed. You've lost. Have I? Victor turned slowly. He was older than his photos. Gray hair, lined face. But his eyes were sharp, alert, and in his hand was a small device. A detonator. 1 bomb is still active. 1 is all I need for what? To kill innocent people? To destroy a building? What does that accomplish? Victor smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. You think this is about murder? About terrorism? No, detective. This is about something much bigger. A message. A demonstration. The British monarchy thinks it's untouchable, sacred. Today, I prove otherwise. By killing Kate. By showing the world that no one is safe, not even a princess on her coronation day. The fear that creates, the uncertainty, that's worth more than 1,000 bombs. Michael took a step closer. And Barnett's daughter? Where is she? Victor's expression didn't change. Safe for now. If I don't check in within the hour, my associate will know I've failed, and she dies. So you see, Detective, you can't win. You shoot me, the girl dies. You let me go, I detonate the bomb. Either way, someone dies today. Or you give me the detonator and tell me where the girl is, maybe you survive this. Victor laughed. Survive? I'm a dead man no matter what happens. The people who hired me don't tolerate failure, but I can choose how I go. Fighting, with purpose. That's worth something. Michael's mind raced. He needed the detonator, and he needed the location of Barnett's daughter. But Victor had no reason to give him either. Unless, you said this was a message, Michael said, to show that no one's untouchable. But you're wrong, because we stopped you. Your plan failed. The crown is clean. The bombs are being found. You've accomplished nothing except proving that good people can stop bad ones. Victor's jaw tightened. The bomb in the gallery is still active. Sarah's disarming it right now. She won't make it in time. She will. Because she's better than you. Because she cares about saving lives, not taking them. For the first time, doubt flickered across Victor's face. His hand tightened on the detonator. You're lying, Michael's radio crackled. Sarah's voice came through, clear and steady. Gallery bomb is disarmed. All devices neutralized. Repeat, all devices neutralized. Victor's face went pale. His hand trembled. The detonator slipped slightly in his grip. It's over, Michael said quietly. Tell me where the girl is. Let one good thing come out of this. Victor stared at him. For a long moment, neither man moved. The wind whistled through the bell chamber. Somewhere far below, the sounds of the abbey continued. Life, movement, hope. Then Victor smiled. A sad, tired smile. She's in a warehouse. East London. Dock Street. Number 47. She's alive. Scared, but alive. He set the detonator down on the stone ledge. Then he raised his hands. Done, he said. Michael moved forward carefully, securing the detonator first, then cuffing Victor. As he radioed for backup, he felt the tension drain from his body. It was over. Really over. Victor looked at him one last time. You won today, Detective. But there will always be others like me. The world is full of people willing to do terrible things for money, for power, for ideology. How many can you stop? Michael met his eyes. As many as it takes. 3 hours later, Westminster Abbey looked exactly as it was meant to. Flowers lined the pews. Cameras were positioned perfectly. Guests in elegant suits and gowns filled the ancient space. Sunlight streamed through stained glass, painting everything in brilliant color. No one in the audience knew how close they'd come to disaster. Michael stood in the back, away from the dignitaries and royalty. His suit felt uncomfortable after hours in tactical gear. His hands still shook slightly from adrenaline, but he was there. Pierce had insisted. You saved the ceremony, she'd said. You should see it. The orchestra began to play. The crowd rose, and Kate Middleton appeared at the entrance. She was radiant, poised. Her dress shimmered as she walked down the aisle, her father beside her. She smiled at guests, at cameras, at the future she was walking toward. And on her head, cleaned and cleared and absolutely safe, was the crown. Michael felt something tight in his chest loosen. She was safe. They were all safe. After the ceremony, after the vows and the music and the cheers, Michael was escorted to a private room. He expected a debriefing, maybe a reprimand for going rogue. Instead, he found Prince William waiting for him. Detective Hayes, William said, extending his hand. I'm told we owe you a great debt. Michael shook his hand, trying not to look as overwhelmed as he felt. I was just doing my job, sir. You did far more than that. Commander Pierce briefed me. The poison, the bombs. You put yourself in danger to protect my wife? My family. That's not just a job. That's courage. I had help. Sarah, the bomb disposal expert. Carter from MI5, Commander Pierce. It was a team effort. William nodded. Nevertheless, Kate wanted to thank you personally, but we thought it best to keep this quiet. The public doesn't need to know how close we came, but we know. And we won't forget. He handed Michael a small box. Inside was a medal, discreet, unmarked. For service beyond duty, William said. Wear it with pride. Or don't wear it at all. Either way, you've earned it. Michael didn't know what to say. He simply nodded. There's one more thing, William continued. Barnett's daughter, Emily. She's safe. Your information led authorities to her within the hour. She's traumatized, but alive. Because of you. It hit Michael harder than anything else. The girl was safe. Barnett's sacrifice hadn't been for nothing. His daughter would grow up, live, have a future. Thank you for telling me, Michael said quietly. William left, and Michael stood alone in the room. He pulled out his phone and saw messages from his own daughter. Photos of the ceremony. Heart emojis. Dad, did you see the princess? She looked like a fairy tale. He smiled and typed back. I saw her. She was beautiful. Later that evening, Michael sat in his small flat with a cup of tea. The television showed highlights from the ceremony. Kate and William waving to crowds. The kiss on the balcony. The joy on everyone's faces. No one would ever know the fear. The poison. The bombs. The desperate race against time. That was how it should be. Some stories didn't need to be told. Some heroes didn't need recognition. But Michael would remember every detail. The woman's cold smile. Victor's sad resignation. The lead blinking red. Sarah's steady hands. The weight of the detonator, and he'd remember the moment. Kate placed that crown on her head and smiled. Unaware, unafraid, alive. His phone rang. It was Pierce Hayes. How are you holding up? Tired, he admitted. But okay. How's Victor? In custody, talking, giving us names, locations. Seems he's decided cooperation is his best chance at survival. Emily Barnett is with family. Recovering. She asked about you. Did you tell her? That a good man saved her life. That her father would be proud. Michael's throat tightened. He was forced into it. He didn't want any of this. I know. The note made that clear. History will remember him as a victim, not a villain. That's something. They talked for a few more minutes. Logistics. Reports. Debriefings. Then Pierce said something unexpected. You could have evacuated. Followed protocol. Let Victor escape, rather than risk hundreds of lives. But you trusted your instincts. You made the hard call? That's not something everyone can do. I had doubts, Michael admitted. Every second I wondered if I was wrong, but you weren't, and that's what matters. After they hung up, Michael sat in the quiet. The television still played. Crowds cheering. Fireworks over London. A celebration of love and tradition and continuity. He thought about Victor's question. How many can you stop? The answer was simple. Not all of them. The world was full of threats. Of people willing to do terrible things. There would always be another plot. Another danger. Another moment where everything hung in the balance. But today, he'd stopped this one. He'd saved lives. Protected something beautiful. That had to be enough. Michael stood and walked to the window. Outside, the city glowed. Millions of lights. Millions of lives. Each one precious. Each one worth protecting, his daughter called. Dad, I'm so proud of you. Even though I don't know exactly what you did today, I know it was important. You always make things better, he smiled. Thanks, sweetheart. That means everything. Will you tell me about it someday? Maybe, he said, when you're older, when it feels more like a story and less like a nightmare. Deal. Love you, Dad. Love you too. Hung up and looked back at the television. Kate and William were leaving the Abbey hand in hand. The crown sat perfectly on her head. A symbol of history, of duty, of survival. Tomorrow, Michael would file his reports, return to his normal duties, blend back into the background. But tonight, just for a moment, he let himself feel what he'd accomplished. He'd stood between innocence and evil, between chaos and order, and he'd won, not because he was special, not because he was fearless, but because, when the moment came, When the choice had to be made, he chose to act. To trust, to fight, and in a world full of darkness, that light was enough. Kate's crown had almost been sabotaged. A royal guard had uncovered the hidden plot, and because of that, a princess lived. A ceremony happened, and hope for one more day triumphed over fear. That was a story no one would ever hear, but Michael knew, and knowing was enough.